Ray Fittipaldo no longer has to pull out of his driveway and drive to Steelers camp. It is over. It is in the book, and he joins us now to break down what he learned over the course of 15 practices. Ray, brought to you by the Western PA injury attorneys of Larry Kelly and Joe George from LGKG. Usually they give me the LGKG before we get the guys' names, and that screwed me up. How we doing, Ray?
I'm good, guys. How we doing?
Outstanding.
Yep.
Ray, you got to be thrilled. Training camp is over. You're going to watch that joint practice tomorrow, right? They're off today. They'll get that joint practice with Tampa tomorrow. Who would you say, let's do offense first. Who's your offensive MVP from Steelers training camp, if there were such an award handed out?
It would have been much easier if you said defense first. Offense, I'll go Aaron, just because he's the quarterback and just because Mike was so effusive in his praise of him yesterday. Just talked about how he loves football and how it's, rubbing off on his teammates, how much he cares about the game. But I'm going to be honest, it was a slow start for Aaron. Then it picked up. And then Jalen came back yesterday, and some of the other defensive guys are coming back, and you saw the defense get back at it again. So I think the defense is probably the story of this training camp, Adam. I know we'll get to it, but Mike, I don't know that I've ever seen Mike Tomlin as confident as he is in his defense as he is right now. I mean, he is just really excited about what this unit potentially can do this season.
Yeah, Ray, why do you think he is so confident? I mean, we discussed it early on in the show of, with some reasons why he may be saying these things out loud. Why do you think he's so confident in this defense this year?
Jalen Ramsey. I think that's the number one reason, and that's not to say the other parts aren't important. We all know TJ and Alex probably make one of the top pass rushing duos in the league. We know the inside linebackers are better than they've been in a long, long time, probably going back 10 years to Ryan Shazier, but they haven't had a secondary like this to match up with the better offenses in the NFL in like 2 decades. And I don't know that they've ever really had it under Mike Tomlin. You got Darius Slay, who's 34, but he can still play. You got Joey Porter, who's now in a position where he could just, cover like the number 2 or the number 3 receiver. And he doesn't have to worry about covering the 1. And then you got Jalen Ramsey, the chess piece. We're playing Jamar Chase this week. He's going to be on Jamar Chase. You're playing maybe Travis Kelce the next week. He's going to be on Travis Kelce. So Mike Tomlin just loves that versatility, and he loves just, having that at his disposal. And I think that's probably the biggest reason for his high confidence level.
So Jalen Ramsey would be the defensive MVP of camp if there were such a thing.
Absolutely. Even though he missed like a week or so, but when he's out there, he's such a difference maker, Adam.
Probably not a coincidence that that's when the offense picked things up, right? Is when Jalen Ramsey was not out there. Yeah. Ray.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it like it's almost like we're in the same place we were last year, but just like a different chapter of the book. Like the defense is going to be really good, and I'm still not completely sure what the offense is going to be. I have hopes that it can be better, but I think I have to see them go out and prove it.
Well, a big part of that would be the offensive line. Mike Tomlin talked about his tackles yesterday after practice, and he thinks they got better. He thinks Broderick's injury early in camp kind of hampered him a bit, but both guys acquitted themselves well in the preseason game. So what did you see out of both those tackles as camp wore on?
Yeah, it was nice that Jacksonville played their starters early in that game because we kind of got to see good on good. So that was positive for both Troy and really the entire offensive line. I thought they held up well in pass protection. There was the one sack. I can't remember if the starters were still in there, but it was like a second or third and long, and they got Mason on the ground. But really good stuff in terms of pass pro. And if there's one complaint, it's probably about the running game. They really never got that untracked, but I think that'll eventually come. You got some new pieces in there with Kenneth Gainwell and Caleb Johnson, so I understand that it's not where they want it to be right now, but just in terms of, all the angst about Broderick Jones, the angst about Troy Fautanu coming back from the injury, for the quarter or so that they were in there, I thought it was a pretty good showing for not only them, but really for the entire offensive line.
Ray, what's your assessment on Caleb Johnson's performance on Saturday?
I don't know that the holes were there. I'm not going to get on Caleb for that it's all his fault. There were probably a couple where he made the wrong cut, or he didn't have his eyes in the right place. But to me, when I watch Caleb Johnson, I worry about the pass pro in the hands out of the backfield, and I think in the short term we're just going to see him basically be a guy who's out there on running downs. I don't know that they trust him yet in pass pro to be out there in second and long or third and long, and that's such an important thing when you have a 41-year-old quarterback. You gotta know that your pass pro is going to be there. You gotta have somebody you could trust back there. I don't think they're to that point with Caleb Johnson. So, like, people were projecting him like all these touches and all these snaps as a rookie. Yeah, he's going to play a lot, but if you can't be trusted on second and third downs, how much are you really going to play? So he'll have his moments, but until they have more trust in him as a pass protector, I don't think he's going to be out there as much as people think.
Ray Fittipaldo, the Post-Gazette's joining us here in the Fan Morning Show. The latest report from Adam Schefter on the Cam Heyward situation made it sound like Cam is perturbed, although he didn't say this publicly, that Jalen Ramsey got paid, Jonnu Smith, T.J. Watt, DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers, and they haven't paid him. You wrote on Twitter yesterday that you don't think you've ever seen the Steelers fan base so against a player in a contract negotiation. What do you think ultimately happens here, Ray?
I think eventually either Cam will just come to terms with the Steelers not paying him, or the Steelers will give him some sort of an advance on that March 2026 roster bonus. And it's $12.9 million. And I think at this point it's just a matter of how much the Steelers are comfortable giving it. Listen, I think he deserves it. Like, he went out and played at an all-pro level. I think I certainly understand Cam's side of it, but if you want to look at it from the Steelers side, you signed a contract, and we can't be going back with 2 years left on the contract, and we can't make this exception for you and then not expect other people to ask for it in the future. So, I think it'll eventually get done. What's a fair number? I don't know, but maybe $4 or $5 million he gets advanced, and then he gets the other, $7 or $8 million in March. I think that's probably the way it's going to turn out.
You don't think he'll sit out regular season games?
I don't think so. Chris Jones tried to do that a couple years ago, Doran, and I think he missed one game. He missed a game check. Now the only difference is, and I don't know if people realize this, but Cam's just making $1.3 million in salary. So if you prorate that over 17 weeks, he could probably afford to sit out some games if he wanted to. Like, if he really wanted to take a hardline stance, but I don't know that that's in Cam. Like, we saw Le'Veon Bell do that, but Cam's a team captain, and you would have to be pretty dug in and pretty much know it's over with the Steelers, I think, if you did something like that. So I just don't see Cam doing that, but he said it's a possibility, so I think, we got to take him at his word at this point.
What are they going to do with Boswell? I mean, Boswell hasn't exactly expressed publicly. In fact, he has not expressed publicly his demands. They could theoretically make him happy by giving him $1.6 million to make him the highest paid kicker in the NFL. But then here it is again. You're talking about a guy with 2 years left on his contract. Do you think they do anything with the kicker?
I mean, it's almost like it's a non-story just because everyone's talking about Cam.
For sure.
Chris hasn't really addressed it. I suppose if Chris addresses it and, he's really upset about it, I think it might become more of a story. But, kickers can kick into their late 30s. He's still young for an NFL kicker. So I think Steelers will probably tell him, hey, we'll take care of you next year at this time. You'll become the NFL's highest paid kicker, but we're not going to do it right now before this season because of what you just talked about.
Ray, out of the guys that didn't play this past Saturday, who do you think will play this coming Saturday?
I don't know how many. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to play. Like all the injured guys, Highsmith's not ready. It'll be interesting if they want to get TJ out there. TJ's back to being a full participant. We might see a few of those guys, Doran, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of them. Like as long as Aaron Rodgers is out, why would you play DK Metcalf? They know what he can do. So what did they send out? 20? You might see 2 or 3 of those guys come back, but I think it's going to be a short roster again. They want to keep their stars healthy, and then unfortunately for them, Doran, they got Calvin Austin's injured. They got a lot of key guys who are injured, guys they want to find out about, and they're just not going to be available for this game and probably not for Thursday's game in Carolina either.
Well, how are you feeling about Y.A. Black? I saw he had his elbow wrapped up, and the way that we've talked to you about him, you've talked to us about him. I mean, It seems like they really like that guy. Any reason to be concerned about the elbow?
I don't think so at this point. Mike really didn't mention it yesterday. I retweeted something Brian Boldinger. He does the video analysis for NFL Network, and it's one thing for like people like me who just watch practice to report what this guy's doing. I mean, people were probably sick of hearing Y.A. Black, but when a guy like Boldinger comes out and tells you how good this guy is, you better start paying attention. So, 5th round, to get a guy like that in the 5th round, he's out there, manhandling the Jacksonville starters and just showing out really well. So hopefully that injury isn't all that serious and he could be healthy for the regular season. If he is, that big question mark we all had about the defensive line probably a month ago or certainly 3 months ago before the draft, I think it's kind of like way down on their list of worries right now, if you ask me.
What if Cam Heyward doesn't play? What do you think the starting D line looks like? Oh my God,
man!
What are you throwing 2 rookies out there? What happened to me?
I froze there for a second. So the starting D line, Harmon, Benton, and then do you go with like one of the vets?
Oh, he froze again,
man.
At least he didn't hear me suck. I don't think.
Right.
Or do you go with a guy like Y.A. Black? So that would be really interesting. But they'd probably go with a vet early and then let Black come off the bench and sort of, earn his stripes that way.
Raymond, you are a wonderful man. We appreciate you reporting from training camp, all your written works, but, of course, jumping on with us every Wednesday. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Rick.
Take care.